I was, I think I was low, so it's your choice, Charles. 11:57. Yeah, it's your choice. Your choice. Thank you, guys. Good luck, good luck. Give me help. Come on, John. Come on.
Welcome back to the Savage Arms Open here at AMF Chicopee Lanes in Chicopee, Massachusetts. Our final match is underway between Joe Wotus and Mike Litchstein. Joe has already started, left to week 10 and covered it up. And here's Michael's first shot up on lane 36. How about dead flush for Mike? Mike going for his 30th title. That's 3-0. And Joe Wotus going for his first. A little bit of a spread there. I'm joined here by Chris Forey, NEBA's current president. How you doing, Chris? Yeah, we got Bill Webb on the mic. Bill, we wanted to ask you about that last match and how you thought that went against Joe, and some other thoughts. I wanted to ask you about the upcoming Hall of Fame. So let's start with the match. What did you think about that pair, and how did it go?
Well, it's probably a pretty bad sign when the second frame I turned around to the guys in the back and I said, I just realized that for Joe to win this tournament, he's going to have to beat Alex, then me, and then Litch, if that was the case, if Litch wins that match. So I think I might have done a profit here. We'll see how he makes out.
He just knocked off Alex, that's right, before he saw you, and he shot 260 at you. So wasn't for lack of scoring. It wasn't. So he's definitely got a good look to the pocket.
Yeah, and that pair was tough for me. The two lanes played totally different, and left a few weak tens on shots that I didn't think were great, but thought were good enough, and then left a 9-pin on the lane that hooked. By then, it was pretty much game over.
And there's a strike for Joe with a very nice crowd giving him a hand here watching the final match. Now, you were using the no rules, right? Not the Pearl, the original no rules.
Right. I was using the pin down one, just trying to control the back end a little bit.
Yeah.
Earlier in the day, I went to the pin up one. I threw it, I think, 2 shots, and it did not look like it was very good down the lane. So I just went back to the pin down one and stayed with that all day.
Yeah. Did you find yourself needing to move in during the finals because they were tracking up a little bit, or?
Only lane 31 hooked a lot. The rest of them, they were actually tighter than when we qualified.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually able to stay further right. The first round, I had a little bit of over-under, watched Colby's reaction and said I need to move further right. So when I bowled Colby the second match, I moved further right, and pretty much the over-under went away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, based on how the pattern was initially set up, it would appear that on the fresh you want to be, more closer to around like 7, to start until they broke down a little bit. And obviously, in match play, the lanes don't break down as fast. So,
yeah, exactly. I think if you look at the straight guys, bowled pretty good early because they still have all that hold. At the 12:30 squad, it looked like they started to get a lot of over/under for those guys. It looked like the guys that hooked it more kind of opened up the lanes a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely at 12:30. We were talking about this when you were bowling your match. Obviously you watched me a little bit. I was circling the lane pretty good, but the ball had to get there. I had to get it into the track early, or else it was Plaque City or even a 210 if you didn't catch the right window.
Right.
So Michael with a double gives him a 10-pin lead, looking to make it 20. We'd like to thank our 2017 NEBA sponsors, 123bowl.com, Brunswick Bowling and the brands of Brunswick, DV8 and Radical, for donating 2 balls per tournament and $2,500 to the Brunswick Tournament of Champions. BuddiesProShop.com and our friend Chris Forey for sponsoring our annual prizes. BowlingSeriously.com for sponsoring Female Bowl of the Year prize, plus the new Women's Cup Series. And again, Joanne Herman covering the first $35 for every single female entry in our Newington Bowlorama tournament coming up. So all women should be looking at that. Cambridge Credit Counseling for adding $3,500 to the Cambridge Credit Invitational. Hall of Fame Silver Lanes. I saw Tony Renaud today. It was good to see him back up here. Strike FX Pro Shops, Turbo Grips, Logo Infusion, Ace Mitchell, Better Bowling Concepts, Bowl Winkles Pro Shop, Yankee Lanes, the Bud Light Challenge, many styles of bowling, and this month's sponsor, Savage Arms. Thank you so much to all our sponsors, and especially Savage Arms for this tournament, as Michael gets his triple.
So.
And as we said earlier, we actually announced the Hall of Fame. We didn't announce who was getting in. Obviously, Bill Webb did get the phone call the other night. So how do you feel about that? That was actually, to me, it was fun. I was the one that got to call you. That was very exciting on my part. I had a great thrill doing that. But
Yeah, and I think that was part of part of one of the better things is that you're the president right now, and obviously we've been friends for a long, long time. And it was a nice call to get on the way home from work.
I think I caught most of the guys off guard because I did make a lot of calls between the 5 and 7 o'clock time frame, but yeah, it was a lot of emotion from a lot of guys when they started thinking, again, like we said before, in 54 years, there's 49 guys are getting in. If you think about it, that's how hard they made it to get into the class. I mean, like Bruce said before, Bruce and I each have 3 titles, which I think there's probably 100 people or less that have, under 100 people that have 3 titles.
Not that many.
And we're not getting in anytime soon.
Nope.
And I'm okay with that. I was very happy with how they made the format.
When you look at the caliber of player, and first of all, kudos to Eddie Roberts and Tony Renaud for taking on a very tough job, which is to figure out the scoring system for how Hall of Famers are selected. And indeed, they went through Bowler of the Year points, obviously, with Webb leading in Bowler of the Year titles, with number of titles overall, and they actually also gave a little higher weight to earlier titles because before, I think it was 92, there were actually no re-entries in NEBA, and we also had a lot more entries. I remember tournaments in the 60s and 70s, not that I'm dating myself, but I remember having 300 to 400 entries with no re-entries, and so that title turns out to have a little bit more weight than a title of today. Not that they're any easier to win, as Chris, you and I have discussed, but certainly, again, Tony and Ed doing a great job figuring out that criteria.
Real quick, just if anybody is watching, which I believe we have a large number of people. I'm looking at the number count. Please share it with your friends. Please share on Facebook. That's how we make NEBA get bigger and get more sponsors. Please share. Real quick to recap, Michael has the front 4, and Joe spare, strike up. So Michael off to a fast start here in this match.
That's going to give him a 31-pin lead, working on a 4-bagger.
And happy anniversary, Webb.
Thank you very much.
I remember being at your wedding. It was a fun time.
6 years ago today.
Well, we're sorry we're keeping you.
Is today your actual anniversary? Today is
the actual anniversary.
Wow, and you stayed to be on the mic with us after losing. Thank you so much.
Well,
I tried to cut out. Chris wouldn't let me.
I wasn't letting Webb leave the building. I'll make up for it when we go to the Dutchman tournament. We'll have some fun there. Maybe we can actually win the doubles this year. We get these close like top 5 finishes, but we haven't won yet. So let's see if we can pull it off.
Bill, of course, will be at the August 26th. How about a 5-bagger for Michael, going after title number 30?
There are no doubters, by the way.
Right. No questions on any of those. August 26th, mark your calendars. This will be the Hall of Fame dinner. There will be a senior tournament that morning. That's a Saturday. Then we'll hold the 6 o'clock squad early. We're not exactly sure of the time. And then we will have a Hall of Fame dinner. That evening it will be in Glastonbury, Connecticut, and the senior and early squad will be held at Silver Lanes. So we would strongly urge anyone interested in going to keep your eyes on the website. There will be a fee. It'll be a very, very nice dinner for everyone involved. The Hall of Fame inductees, of course, will get it complimentary, but we will ask folks for a cover charge to come to the dinner. But hopefully we can get a really fantastically large turnout and honor these great bowlers. Michael stepping back with the employee walking up the side path there.
Mechanic decided not lane 1, but let's go to the finals pair.
Well, it's got to run the show too. Right?
So with the miracles of modern technology, I'm now getting texts about happy anniversary. One from the one and only Jim, the Flying Elbow Strong.
Wow.
Spin.
All right, Jim.
I think that, the ceiling fans are on high speed here, Jimmy. They're lining you up.
Well, and as I said, the live stream is catching more and more people. So very pleased about the following that this has been getting, and hope it continues to grow.
Oh, that's high. That's a
Oh,
high.
And it sets up on the left lane.
Throw him the heater, Ricky.
Now, I did find the left lane's a little tighter, so maybe he made the correct mistake on the correct lane, as I'm fond of saying.
My father called that a foul line adjustment. A foul line adjustment. That was the high hard one. Michael just exhaling, grabbing some water. He found the oil slick.
That would give him a 51-pin lead after 6. Can Joe cut into it and make this a match? Just about a must strike already here for him. Give it to
Great
him.
ball. Great shot.
That's 41-pin lead now for Michael. Cal Sellers, as our producer, is giving you the great video feed here, operating the Mevo through the smartphone app.
I think the coolest thing about the Mevo is when we put it out, somebody that hasn't been to a NEBA recently, they go, "That's it?
What's that little thing? Yeah, it looks like
That's
a little
all it
cylinder.
is?"
If you've never seen it, it's a good shot again there by Joe. Cuts it to 31. He might make this a match. Can Michael keep it going?
He's not going away.
Not going away. It's about a 1.5-inch diameter cylinder, maybe 9 inches tall total. And that's the whole thing.
And
it
that's
sits
only because
up
of
on
the
a pole.
battery.
That's it. Yeah, the battery is probably 7 of those 9 inches. So very, very compact product, very high resolution. And the smartphone app allows you to select certain parts of the screen. That's why Cal can zoom in on the score and show you that, and we can also show the shot. And so when he jumps around, all that's coming from one single high-def video feed.
It's amazing. Great investment we did between Bruce and I, between that and the mixer. It's a lot of fun.
It is fun.
This is my first time on the mic. I've been behind the scenes a lot of times, running around telling everybody what to do.
And you're very good at that, by the way.
Yeah,
we feel like you're employees.
Thanks to El Jefe.
El Jefe, yes. I did call Chris El Jefe earlier. If you don't know what that means, that's Spanish for the boss, and that's Chris all the way. And great boss he is. Good shot. Oh, yeah. Gets it out to the dry.
It's been 5 months being president, and I will say my two main things were trying to get the live stream up and running, correct, a better job of live streaming. We did a good job before, but really get it going, and I think this has helped improve the quality. But obviously we know that sometimes the stream quality hasn't been the best. That's not our fault, but we've also come up with resolutions to that going forward. And then the Hall of Fame. I mean, again, and I should say 3 things. And working with Joanne with the Women's Cup series, those 3 things I'm very proud of so far. So Michael being Michael. That's all I got to say.
He still has it. No doubt about it. Maybe just not quite the same height of backswing, as he used to have, but all the leverage and all the hit and explosion at the line that he's ever had.
The biggest thing with Michael is he can smell the finish line right now, and Joe's in a lot of trouble. He's the one guy that you never want to get down, because at any point that could be the end of the match.
Well, Joe maxed out at 259 at this point, and Litchie with what I call plus 60. So if he were to go 9 spare, he'd be on a 259 pace. So.
Oh, the high hard one again.
Dead flush.
I think they threw a flag on that one.
First 8.
They might throw the yellow flag for holding again. But
well, again, the left lane's a little tighter.
But again,
left, and he knows that, so he wants to go high. He doesn't want to flirt with the outside and go with the soft 7. So I think
you don't want to take any chances 7-10 or anything. So
so I think he gets it up into it, and he knows how to play him lane to lane, and it's really a lot of, when it's high scoring, it's about carry. And I think Michael knows what
it's all about getting the right angle through the pins, and well, both these guys, in order to get this far, you had to do that.
Great
I mean,
shot.
Joe not giving it away. Anything can happen, but
Michael already in the 260s, so if he just goes spare 260, and Joe with a maximum 259.
But I think, like Bill said, Michael, obviously, to win 29 times here, as we said before, it's not easy. 29, and doesn't even bowl regularly anymore. If he bowled regularly, I can't imagine what would happen. He literally bowls like 5 a year, and he's a chance to win in all 5 of those. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Well, I was going to make a crack about him updating his arsenal, but
Oh, Messenger.
won't go, and that's pretty much going to
Unfortunately,
do it.
that will end that match.
Yeah, Michael Litchstein with his 30th NEBA title, extending his lead over Alex Aguiar next with 18. Phenomenal performance.
And then after that, you got Bill Webb with 60. I mean, that tells you how hard they are to get. 30. What do you think about that?
It's insane.
I like that one word, insane.
Would you ever see yourself getting to 30, Billy?
No, because I invent new ways to lose.
I'm sorry. That's like a mic drop right there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I'll give you one quick story. I'm the only guy in NEBA history to lose twice to the same guy when I shouldn't have been bowling him. One tournament we had people switching pairs, and we got confused who was A and who was B. Found out that we were bowling the wrong person about the 7th frame, so we might as well just keep going. He struck all the way out, shot 250 and beat me. About 6 months later, bowling the same exact person, realized that we had the wrong seeding because we had tied for a seed and it should have been the other way. And again, he threw the next 7 to turn around and shoot 250 at me. So twice in 6 months, I bowled the same guy that I should not have been bowling and lost to him. That takes effort.
Well, it takes being in the finals 4 million times, which you, I think, have covered.
And so you usually miss about 1 or 2 cuts a year. A couple years ago, we had a little down. You were a little down stretch, and I actually remember you coming to the pro shop and practicing. I knew it was bad when Webb called me and said, "I need to come practice, Chris. We need to work on something." That doesn't happen.
Well, Bill, and I remember interviewing you for the 50th anniversary booklet, and I wrote a page for you. And 8-pin for Michael.
Great run.
He's trying to cap off the title with 300. Couldn't do it. Little drier lane, maybe. Little reaction. And one of the things you said to me, Bill, was you're good at making cuts, and you demonstrate that every time you bowl. You are creative. You're always looking around to see who's, maybe not throwing it the best, but scoring the best. And I think you know about leverage. You know about ball reaction. You know about all these things, and so I think people could learn a lot by just watching you during the qualifying squads on how you get yourself into the finals.
Yeah, I do a pretty good job at figuring out what's working, and even though it may not be necessarily my A game, I can kind of mold myself into what they're doing and bowl well enough to make the cut. From there in the matches, usually it takes more than that, and that's where I can, find ways to lose, like I said.
Yeah.
I will tell you that what's funny is Webb and I have been friends for like 20 years now. I moved to Connecticut 25 years ago, but what's funny is when we do make the cut, or if I'm lucky enough to bowl at 9 a.m. and we go to lunch. And I tell a lot of guys that come into the shop and all that, they just think Bill Webb is just Bill Webb. He has a unique ball roll. I go, Bill Webb is unique because he sees things that others don't see. He figures out how to manipulate his release enough to try and get close to what they do. And that's a credit and art to the game that many guys don't do because they just think that, well, I throw it the way I throw it, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And what makes guys, particularly like a Bill Webb, doesn't have the rev rate. Billy doesn't have the rev rate of other players, but Billy proves that you don't need a rev rate. You need to be able to be creative with your mind and see the lane a particular way and figure out how to get your ball to read the lane the correct way.
Well, and I know, Bill, when you and I were talking, you mentioned, I think it was Steve Craigling, right? Becky's brother, who taught you about leverage. And you were, the whole game is about how can you transfer the leverage and the potential energy you generate in your backswing to the hit and to the release, right? That was a big theme of yours.
Exactly, and that's a lot of what it is trying to, for today, for example, starting in the 4th game, I realized that I needed to keep my shoulders out over my knees better. And at that point, once I did that, I basically threw a 10-bagger and started the next game with a front 8. And it was just that simple little change.
Oh, Michael finishing off 267 with a splat 5-pin with his spare ball, 30 titles. Great match, great tournament. Really, I don't know anybody who doesn't know Mike, but one of the good guys. one of the best guys around. And, of course, father and son, Michael and Larry, being inducted into the Hall of Fame at the same time. We're going to try to get Michael on mic here and have a quick chat here. So,
Do you want me to shake Joe's hand after he finishes, or do it right now?
you better go finish the match. Go finish the match. We'll get Michael on mic here in a minute, and we'll have a quick chat with him. Bill Webb, thanks for joining us for the final match here, and good bowling today. Congratulations on the Hall of Fame. And Joe's going to finish up 238 here. Great tournament for Joe. How about 237 and a nice hand for Joe. Joe Wotus. Michael Litchstein, what does it feel like to have 30 titles? We'll start there.
You know, Bruce, 31 years. I remember the first debut with my father like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
It's clear as day.
70s, right?
86.
86.
With my father bowling.
You youngster. Oh, my Lord.
He was off the tour. He bowled the tournament.
Yeah.
We went to it together. Bradley Bowl. There's been a lot of NEBAs since 1986 that I bowled in, Bruce.
Good for you.
I'm very fortunate, and I just try to represent myself the way New England would want me to. I get a little carried away, but I just I try to carry myself like a pro, Bruce.
I don't know anybody who doesn't root for you when they watch you bowl. I think you have, between your unique style and your personality, I don't think you've made an enemy in your entire life. So you really are everything the game should aspire to be. So just thank you so much for being part of it.
That's nice of you to say. I think all the bowlers know that that I'm not rooting against them, Bruce. Regardless of what hand they throw it with, how they throw it, what they bowl with, what the shot is. Mm-hmm. I think they know I have as much respect for them as they do for me. And I think they sense that and they know it. Even people that I don't know that well. I don't know Joe Wotus very well. I've bowled him in the league here, subbing a couple times. He's a heck of a bowler. But I think he knows how much I respect him, Bruce, even though he doesn't know me very well. Mm-hmm. And I felt it from him. It was an honor, and you guys said a lot of nice things. Thank you.
Well, you know, first of all, you give respect, you get respect, and that's I've known you since, God, what was I, like about 10 years old when I first met you? Right. Leisure Lanes in New Jersey.
Yep.
Who would even think? I didn't even get to bowl that day. I was like, wow, look at this. And we've become great friends.
We have.
And, you know, just watching you, and you've the same personality you had when I was 10 years old. Unfortunately, you don't get to bowl NEBA in your Iron Maiden shirts. And
True.
And stuff like that. But I mean, it's the way I tell people, when it came down to the Hall of Fame, you are NEBA. Obviously, we have a lot of people going in. But when I go travel the country, people say to me, oh, you bowl NEBA. Mike Litchstein bowls NEBA.
It's nice.
You are the face of NEBA. You are a great representative of us.
Well, and how appropriate is it for Mike to win on the weekend when we've announced the formal date where we're going to induct all the Hall of Famers? So you're leading the charge by a wide margin. Yeah,
I can't wait to call my dad, Bruce. That's usually the best phone call is to my dad when I can somehow do it. Yep. You know, even when I don't do it, he tries to give me advice, tries to pump me up, tries to say things to keep me going. I go through doubt just like anybody else, Bruce, when I bowl. At times, at certain tournaments, on certain conditions, there's doubt. And it's hard to battle that. But there was still a little doubt today, but somehow I just, stayed in there and did what I had to do, and I got some shots that weren't the greatest shots. They went. That's what it takes sometimes to win. Joe got 10 pins, a couple 10 pins early, gets behind. If those go, and I flinch,
Yep.
it's a whole different.
All of a sudden,
I've
right? Yep. You
bowled
got
that
on
match a million times, Bruce. So I'm very fortunate.
So I've read stories of your dad watching Bradley bowl be built. And your dad, of course, is the king of stories. And when you call him, ask him, where is that book? He needs to get that book written and out.
He is.
Of all his stories.
He grew up on Ash Drive, Bruce, which you can see from the back door of Bradley Bowl. I think he watched him pour the foundation in 60. They opened in 61. I still work there. It's still open.
You run the pro shop.
I do.
So how
Dad, shot pool there and then later became a bowler. And I always tell him, though, Bruce, he's the greatest Litchstein of all. I'm just his son. I wear his name. Even though he hasn't seen a lot of these, NEBA tournaments that I've been in 31 years, I wear his name. I'm proud of that, and I try to make him proud. That's really what I try to do, Bruce.
Well, you better get him up here in the 26th because he's going in the Hall of Fame as well,
Of course.
Father and son,
Yes.
Hall of Famers.
Yes.
Well, I do know that obviously Danny made that call. He called your father, and your father made a great post on Facebook about it. I know you probably don't go on Facebook much, if at all, but your father did get a call from Danny. He is joining you in the Hall of Fame. I'm not sure if he told you.
He did. He called me.
And your father's ecstatic. I
is.
understand he was at a loss for words for the first time.
Yeah, he gets emotional more than people think. He really does. He's an emotional guy, Chris. He's way more sensitive about certain things than people ever thought. And it means a lot to him. He bowled NEBA in the 60s with a lot of, the first New England champions and the first guys that, built this club and bowled in it and, the first great champions that we had. And I certainly haven't forgotten those people. I always call them the greatest, and I think they respect me for that.
Yeah.
I don't walk around thinking I'm any better than anybody else, Chris, and that's the truth.
So, Michael, I've got an updated zone to sell you. Are you interested? You want to do anything?
Bruce, I'll take any ball I can get right now, Hoss.
I remember I asked you at Nutmeg whether you use an EPX, and your answer was one ball attack, Hoss, one ball attack. So tell us about your equipment, and I think you just like to go with the venerable stuff that
No,
and you know how it reacts. And
I try some of the newer balls. Sometimes I can make them work okay.
Yeah.
They're obviously, very good. I just I get a little stuck sometimes. I do try to play the lanes a little bit straighter, Bruce. I don't hook the ball a ton. I try to go with my speed. I try to keep it in front of me. Sometimes the older balls let you do that. Not all the time. Sometimes they don't work at all, Bruce. People always think they always work. It's not the case. They don't always work. They've had days, no different than that ball.
Yep.
The next time I go to throw it, Bruce, it'll be entirely different.
Yep.
And that's unfortunately the nature of the game, but I think every bowler knows that.
Yeah.
So you have to continue to adapt and try to recreate yourself. And sometimes I can, Bruce. Sometimes I can't.
Well, I've been working hard with Andrew, and he has what I call new ball disease. I'll punch up a ball that week, and sure enough, whatever the condition that weekend, that's what he's going to throw. So, he's getting past that now to really begin to understand his art a little better. So a lot of bowlers can take a lesson from that and say, you got to do what works. And yes, new equipment can help you. If it's right, it might fill a hole in your arsenal, it might do this and that. But understanding your reaction and where the strengths of your game are is everything. Which I
could see why the newer, younger generation, though, does that, Bruce. I can see why that they're interested in the newer balls, and they, of course, want to try them, throw them, and just continue to switch balls until they think they have, what they need. Where me, I kind of fight through it and try to, play the pocket, play myself, so I could see why the newer guys do that. I'm just not the greatest at it, but I get it. I just can't always do it.
Yeah,
Well, I personally think that's what, and we talked about this with Bill Webb before, and that's what makes it unique is obviously you, Bruce, myself, growing up with plastic, rubber,
right,
urethane. We've seen it all. That obviously with that equipment, we had to make the balls work. So sometimes for us, I personally don't drill a ton of balls. My guys in my shop will tell you I get a lot of balls sent to me. Same thing. I do obviously drill some of the newer stuff much better than you do. I mean, meaning that I throw the newer balls.
No, you do, Chris.
But
I'm not offended, Chris.
But at the same point, though, I'm also more of a hand like us, where we grew up having to figure out how to manipulate the ball. So I try to figure out how to get one ball, and that's what I think is so great about it. You try to downplay a little bit, but
it works. It doesn't always work, Chris. There's days that it works very good. There's days that you should be throwing different equipment and
Right.
But
trying to do different. But yeah, it's very hard to have every shot, especially at 48.
Yeah.
At 28, I had a few more shots, I think, than I do at 48, but it's the nature of the beast.
But you also figure out how to, even at 48, you still have to figure out how to make it work, your game, at the same point with the older equipment. And when you do have it, you got it. And and it's not like I got it and maybe I could throw it good. There's still that heart of the champion in there.
Thank you, Chris.
That when you get up there was no doubters there in that last match, or even the match before that. There were no doubters. I know there are a couple you feel you yanked.
Of course,
I was teasing you.
there's doubt. There's always a.
You know what I was saying is a couple you got in on the left lane, but I know the left lanes have played tighter.
They did, and that's absolutely
mostly across the house. So I think you knew
that
what you were
one
doing
in the
on
six,
those shots.
in the 6 or 7 was big. It was in. It was going high, and it
Speed.
it stayed.
Speed.
I roped.
But you played the pattern to what it gave you.
I do.
You knew what you had, and that's
Yep.
my point is
Yep.
is that you see it, and when you saw what you had, you ran with it. You knew
Right.
exactly what it was. There was going to be no doubt.
Right.
You did what you had to do. And
There's always a little doubt, Chris. You're giving me too much credit.
I've known
There's
you
a
for a
little
long-
doubt. Chris.
I know you for a long, and that's the
You
one thing.
guys are giving me a lot of credit.
They wrote your name on the check during the qualifying.
Yeah,
I don't know if you knew that.
They gave me. You're giving me a little too much here,
Well, the
Bruce.
one thing
Thank
is
you.
you're very humble, and that's what makes a great champion too.
That's nice of you to say, Christopher.
And I've known you forever, and that's what I said.
course.
So I mean,
Thank
but
you.
you don't give yourself enough credit.
Thank
and
you.
We will.
Thank you. It's nice of you to say.
Michael Litchstein, 30 titles, Hall of Famer, along with his dad. Winner here at Chicopee, the Savage Arms Open. Thanks to Jeff Bennett and everyone here. Thanks to Chris Forey on the mic.
To wrap things up, I would just say, please tune in. Please tune in next week when we announce the Hall of Famers. We will have that up. We will get that up on our YouTube page. We're going to do it next weekend.
Well, we're going to cut the spot now, as I understood, and then we'll put it up on
Yep,
the
but we're going
page.
to cut it, but we're actually going to have a video up of announcing all the Hall of Famers, which is exciting times. So, again, I'll let Bruce wrap this up.
Nope,
But
I think we're all set. Michael,
we're good.
congratulations.
Bruce,
and,
thank you again for everything.
and thanks for
All right,
joining
bye.
us. This
See you
is
next
actually
month,
the first time we actually
Yeah,
did this.
Chris,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever talked this much after winning a tournament, Chris. This is a new record, so thank you very
I
much.
like to talk, but
Chris,
I talked a lot.
that-
So.
that- I know, I
record,
do
new
too. I like to
talking
talk
record,
too.
Everything's
Thank
good.
you.
So, congratulations,
Thank you,
Mike.
guys.
All right, signing off from Chicopee.